I especially need the help of those who give children their religious instruction, because it is here that I break down independent thought and start people on the habit of drifting, by confusing their minds with unprovable ideas concerning a world of which they know nothing. Because it is here that I break down independent thought and start people on the habit of drifting, by confusing their minds with unprovable ideas concerning a world of which they know nothing. Because it is here that I break down independent thought and start people on the habit of drifting, by confusing their minds with unprovable ideas concerning a world of which they know nothing.
Welcome back to Badass Conjure, Oshun Ajay exclusive, and No Narc Network TV. I am the Oracle / Badass Witch, Oshun Ajay. Excuse my granddaughter in the background. But we are going into lesson 6 today, okay? And I hope y'all had a chance to review lesson 5, which was just basically a re-upload of my dream about the time of change. Lesson 7 may possibly be my dream, the second part of that dream, which is the Great Fire. I'm not sure though, but I will say that at some point going forward, we will have, I will go ahead and upload the Great Fire as well, so you guys will have the completion of that dream, and you again will be aware of what I'm speaking of when I refer to parts of that dream going forward as we study the book. Okay, so I hope you guys have retained everything from the first 5 lessons. Okay, understanding how the devil controls your mind when it's idle, that the children are his target demographic. And in today's lesson, we do have special guest serial killer Charles Manson. Let's get to it.
It is here also that I plant in the minds of children the greatest of all fears, the fear of hell.
I understand that it is easy.
Greatest of all fears, the fear of hell.
I understand that it is easy.
Greatest of all fears, the fear of hell.
I understand that it is easy for you to...
It is here also that I plant in the minds of children the greatest of all fears, the fear of hell.
I understand that it is easy for you to frighten children with threats of hell, but how do you continue to make them fear you and your hell after they grow up and learn to think for themselves?
Children grow up, but they do not always learn to think for themselves. Once I capture the mind of a child through fear, I weaken that child's ability to reason and to think for himself, and that weakness goes with the child all through life.
Is that not taking unfair advantage of a human being by contaminating his mind before he comes into full possession of it?
Everything is fair that I can use to further my ends. I have no foolish limitations of right and wrong. Might is right with me. I use every known human weakness to gain and keep control of the human mind.
I understand your devilish nature. Now, let us get back to further discussion of your methods of inducing people to drift to hell here on earth. From your confession, I see that you take charge of children while their minds are young and pliable. Tell me more of how you use parents, teachers, and religious leaders to ensnare people into drifting.
One of my favorite tricks is to coordinate the efforts of parents and religious instructors, so they work together in helping me to destroy the children's power to think for themselves. Coordinate the efforts of parents and religious instructors, so they work together in helping me to destroy the children's power to think for themselves. Coordinate the efforts of parents and religious instructors, so they work together in helping me to destroy the children's power to think for themselves.
So one of his favorite tricks is to coordinate the efforts of the religious instructors and the parents of the children, including the teachers of the children, to basically serve a single agenda. Okay, so, this is just like when, again, the boss at the job was calling in my quote unquote coworkers to basically hear something about the company, but I was hearing some undertones, some subliminal messages that were being planted there. And when they would come out, they had this demon within them. So this would represent the people. Again, the people he's talking about whose efforts he was coordinating, because he was basically planting within all of the people a single agenda, but for each of them to serve it in their own way, which is why they were being called in one by one. If you're a teacher, you're going to do it this way. If you're if you're a religious instructor, if you're a pastor, if you're a youth minister, you're going to do it this way. If you're a parent, if you're a mother or your father, you're going to do it this way. And it's all to serve a single agenda. Okay.
I use many religious instructors to undermine the courage and power of independent thought of children by teaching them to fear me. But I use parents to aid the religious leaders in this great work of mine.
How do parents help religious leaders destroy their children's power to think for themselves? I never heard of such a monstrosity.
I accomplish this through a very clever trick. I cause the parents to teach their children to believe as the parents do in connection with religion, politics, marriage, and other important subjects. In this way, as you can see, when I gain control of the mind of a person, I can easily perpetuate the control by causing that person to help me fasten it upon the minds of his offspring.
So if you think about it, and if we're going to be honest about it, most people's core religious and political beliefs and belief systems in general were passed down either through the family and or the culture. Okay. And usually when we break away from that and we're on our own, path of our own choosing, it usually is not a fear-based, organized religion that you find yourself in. But usually the core beliefs that we come here with that are again, we accept as children because it's what our family and or culture is doing, then, those usually tend to be fear-based. And we need to recognize those beliefs as the devil's work, okay, and begin to purge these fear-based beliefs and religious belief systems from our minds, okay?
In what other ways do you use parents to convert children into drifters?
I cause children to become drifters by following the example of their parents, most of whom I have already taken over and bound eternally to my cause. In some parts of the world, I gain mastery over children's minds and subdue their willpower in exactly the same way that men break and subdue animals of lower intelligence. In exactly the same way that men break and subdue animals of lower intelligence. In exactly the same way that men break and subdue animals of lower intelligence. It makes no difference to me how a child's will is subdued, as long as it fears something. I will enter its mind through that fear and limit the child's power to think independently. I will enter its mind through that fear and limit the child's power to think independently.
Fear, my people, is but false evidence. It's but false evidence appearing real.
It seems that you go out of your way to keep people from thinking.
Yes, accurate thought is death to me. I cannot exist in the minds of those who think accurately. I do not mind people thinking, as long as they think in terms of fear, discouragement, hopelessness, and destructiveness. When they begin to think in constructive terms of faith, courage, hope, and definiteness of purpose, they immediately become allies of my opposition, and are therefore lost to me.
So basically, when you begin to think a better quality of thoughts, thereby raising your vibration beyond the level where the devil and his co-workers can reach you, you will find yourself in a very safe and beautiful place.
I'm beginning to understand how you gain control of the minds of children through the help of their parents and religious instructors, but I do not see how the school teachers help you in this damnable work.
School teachers help me gain control of the minds of children, not so much by what they teach the children, as because of what they do not teach them. The entire public school system is so administered that it helps my cause by teaching children almost everything except how to use their own minds and think independently.
Remember Pinky and the Brain from Lesson 4? The message here is to not be a follower, but to use and trust your own intuition and to think for yourself. This is the greatest defense that you can use against the devil's tricks.
I live in fear that someday some courageous person will reverse the present system of school teaching and deal my cause a death blow by allowing the students to become the instructors. using those who now serve as teachers only as guides to help the children establish ways and means of developing their own minds from within. When that time comes, the school teachers will no longer belong to my staff.
I was under the impression that the purpose of all schooling was to help children to think.
That may be the purpose of schooling, but the system in most of the schools of the world does not carry out the purpose. School children are taught not to develop and use their own minds, but to adopt and use the thoughts of others. This sort of schooling destroys the capacity for independent thought, except in a few rare cases where the children rely so definitely upon their own willpower that they refuse to allow others to do their thinking. Accurate thought is the business of my opposition, not mine.
So accurate thought is the business of his opposition and not his, okay? So the way that you will recognize his children is that they will also not be thinking accurately, okay? And anyone who knows a narcissist knows that, this is exactly the core of their affliction. They do not think correctly. They are quote-unquote delusional, and their thoughts definitely need correction, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys recognize this picture when I put it up in one of the other lessons, but this is Charles Manson, the serial killer, okay? And if you don't know about him and his works on this earth, Google him, okay? But basically, Charles Manson is the perfect example of one of the devil's children whose thoughts absolutely need correction. And I want you guys to always keep in mind that the purpose of us studying this book is for me to prove my theory that, sociopathy, psychopathy, and most importantly, narcissistic personality disorder are all different levels of demonic possession and thereby a spiritual affliction and not a antisocial personality disorder, but that the personality disorder is but a byproduct of the greater issue, which is the spiritual affliction and the quote-unquote demonic possession. The eyes are the window to the soul. And if you look into the eyes of a narcissist, you will see an empty, deep, black, scary pit of nothingness. Okay, because this is what this is what is in their soul. This is what you see. Okay, and you can look into the eyes of a serial killer like Charles Manson or some of the blank, eyed killers that I showed earlier in this video. There is nothing there, okay? And if you've ever been close to a narcissist, you've seen the same look because they are all children of the same godless being that you guys call the devil, okay? And they all have their father's eyes.
Are you so afraid of that's got your mind locked up?
No, I don't understand.
Go over to the morgue and look at all them dead people.
Just explain to me, though. I'm not dumb.
So this is a clip from a 1993 interview that Charles Manson had done with Diane Sawyer, okay? At this point, let me see, he got locked up, I believe, in 69, and it was 93. So that was about 24 years he had already been locked up, okay? And it's obvious in the interview that the devil still has his mind, okay? I don't know what point that they were at in this interview, but listen to the fear that he's trying to speak into her mind. And you can also hear that she's obviously frustrated because he's obviously been doing things like gaslighting, lying, and just throwing a bunch of chaos into the interview and into the conversation to cause confusion, because this is what the children of the devil, the narcissists, the sociopaths and psychopaths, this is what they do. This is what they were created to do.
Explain to me simply why that house that night. Why they
Which
went
house?
there.
Which night?
The house on Cello Drive, the Tate house. Why did they go there that night?
Because Tex had been there before, and he went to a familiar place.
And why did they kill people that night? What did they think they were doing for you?
They freaked out, man. Tex was stoned. He was good, he got Everybody was loaded, man.
He said he wasn't. He said he was coming off an LSD trip. He had a little speed.
A little speed. Well, not around me, he didn't have no speed, because I wouldn't allow no speed on that ranch. I kick ass over there.
He
I
says
don't
he
allow that
has
stuff on around me. I take a little grass, a little LSD, but none of that is destructive. Anyway, you can ask any of them other girls that'll tell you the other side of this game. I don't play drugs. I play light, light dibby dabby chipping, but I don't really get down heavy with it.
What did they think they were?
Are we ready here, man?
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready. We ready here?
Ready.
Okay, ready. War.
What did they think they were?
We are at war now.
But what did they think they were doing for you?
They wasn't doing anything for me.
What did they think they were doing for you?
Okay. If you are me and I am you, everything you do is for you, is for me too.
So what did they think?
If you're in
they
one
were
mind, if I
achieving
am
for
you and you are me and we are all together, and then who's responsible for come together over me right now? It's all his fault.
Anyone who's ever dealt with a narc knows that the most frustrating thing about dealing with these people is their absolute inability and refusal to accept responsibility for their destructive actions and behavior, and their constant blame shifting about the things that they cause onto other people, including yourself. So this is very indicative of also what the devil's children do, because again, they all have the same father.
Oh, no, it's his fault. No, we put another false face on it. It's Halloween. It's your fault. Now, system, blame it on your lawyers. If your lawyers ain't lying and taking the money of the poor people, then the poor people got a court to stand on, and they got rights as individuals for a revolution they fought in 1776 that guarantees rights to a common, ordinary farmer, poor man on the street like me. A rebel. I got my rights in the 76 courtroom. If you don't give me my rights in the courtroom, then I become King George. And I got all the rights then. And when I stand on the mountain and I say, do it, it gets done. If it don't get done, then I'll move on it. And that's the last thing in the world you want me to do, because I got that Confederate sword in the kitchen. Don't invoke me. Don't invoke me. Don't invoke me. Do it. Get it done. How do we do it? I don't know. I don't want to be involved in it. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. In Japan, they call it ninja. I don't get involved in violence. I'm not a violent human being.
He's not a violent human being, yet he's responsible for 9 murders, okay? You can also find a narcissist saying this same exact phrase right after he has beaten his wife into a coma, broken her ribs or her nose or any other pertinent bones in her body, because these people are absolutely insane. They are delusional. And they will never hold themselves accountable for all of the death, decay, and destruction that they cause.
Do you want the world to let you alone and turn away?
Listen, I broke no law. Try to understand that. I broke no law. I didn't step out of line with God, and I didn't step out of line with the man. I did not break the law. Now, I told those people the same thing that the United States president would tell them. The only way that you can dispensate life and death is you have to be willing to give yourself to that cause. You can't fight a revolution. You can't do anything unless you're willing to submit yourself to that cause. In other words, that's what you learn in the military.
Did you tell them to mutilate so that it would be memorable, so that people would know something was going on?
Did
you tell them to do it in a memorable way?
Hey, I told you what I told them. If you're going to move and you're going to do something, do it with your soul and your heart. Do it right, man. Don't half-step on it.
Did they do it right?
I don't know. That's up to them. They live with that. They're responsible for their actions. I'm responsible for my actions.
You think the world's going to forget about you?
Which world? Every person in here is a world.
This united world of America. You think it's going to forget about you now and move on?
Forget. That's better. Boom. Boom. We're trying to unify Germany now. Look here. See, here's another thing you guys don't understand. You've got an underworld and an overworld. You guys live in the overworld. I live in the underworld. You know, it's like you think the Second World War is over. Second World War is not over. You understand what I'm telling you? The Second World War is not over.
Is Charlie Manson crazy?
Or whatever that means. Sure, he's crazy as mad as a hatter. What difference does it make? You know, a long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy. So, I mean, you know, like, you know, synonymous. I mean, it's an irony, man. It's a paradox. I mean, are you crazy? Dressed in black? You think I don't know everything that goes with that black you're dressed in?
See, he knows that Diane Sawyer, along with all of the other media personalities, all of the newscasters, all of the actors, actresses, and singers, and all of their agents, bosses, and managers are all practicing witchcraft, okay? Again, the craft is something that could be used in a negative or a positive way to either help heal, to curse, or to bless, okay? And so he has full understanding of what she is also participating in, being part of the Hollyweird culture. My suspicion, being, you know, a witch myself, I know that black is a protective color, and I know that she probably has some level of fear of Charles Manson, okay, which is why she wore what she wore. He's also pointing out the fact that she is part of these secret societies such as the Eastern Stars, and you know, all of the other symbolism that he sees. He knows exactly what he's looking at, because all of these are different different facets of his kingdom, okay?
Yeah, where's your black gloves? You got your rings. You think I don't understand your blue rings and your yellow biscuit? You think you're anything wrong? Yeah, and then behind that, then, you know, there's so.
What do you think about all day long?
I don't. I try not to think. I try to clear my mind.
So did y'all hear that? He tries not to think, okay? So it's funny that she even asked that question, but he tries not to think, and him not thinking is what made his mind vulnerable and susceptible to being taken over by the devil, okay?
Are you a changed man? They say they're changed women.
Changed. I was a changed man when I got out last time. I learned my lesson well.
What's the lesson you've learned from all this?
I don't exist in your world. I'm only what is what it is. It is what it is.
So if you notice the distant stare, this is called dissociation, okay? And this happened right after he basically reenacted some of the things that happened, that he went through to actually be put under mind control. If you listen very closely, he is giving away a lot of information. And also, I believe that Diane Sawyer may be a celebrity handler, which means that she is one of the people in Hollywood. I mean, a lot of the ones who you see having a talk show where they are able to interview people, they are handlers, meaning that they hold the keys, the trigger words, the hand gestures to trigger the altars in these people whose minds are under total control by the devil and his quote-unquote co-workers. And when I speak of alters, I'm speaking of the alternate personalities that these people develop when their minds or their bodies are put under, unbearable stress, okay? So usually this is trauma-based, mind control. And if you listen closely enough, he is giving away which branch of the military where he was actually put under mind control. I want you guys to keep in mind your own relatives and the people that you know who went over to some branch of the military and came back a different person, okay?
And I tell you right up into the highest peak of your understanding, I did not break the law. It's that simple.
Now, let me tell you why he keeps insisting that he did not break the law, okay? Because he is aware of universal law, and he is aware of the sovereignty of the Most High, okay? So when people are out here doing things that they have said that God has said that you cannot do, it basically, they don't understand that when, quote unquote, the Creator God, when the Most High speaks, It is, okay? So if God had said, thou shalt not kill, that you would not even have the ability to do so. So what he understands on the deepest esoteric level is that you cannot break the universal law, okay? And you cannot go against the will of the Most High, even though you experience having quote unquote free will in this realm. The free will that you have, the choices that you have that are part of that free will are still within limitations, okay? So the fact that you have the ability to go and appear or have the experience of taking another person's life, I know that we wish that people weren't able to do that, but the fact that you are able and have the ability to do that is indicative of the fact that the Most High never said that you cannot do that. Okay, he may have said that you should not do that, or that if you were on the righteous path, that you would not do that. But if the Most High, in fact, had said you cannot do that, you would not be able to do it. And this is why he keeps insisting that he did not break the law, because on the deepest esoteric level of the law, he did not. He didn't break the law because he knows at the deepest esoteric level, he cannot break the law. Okay, that would be blasphemy. If in fact it is a law that the Most High spoke into being, then it's not something that you have control over. So something that we have to really let sink down into your minds is that when the Most High gave you quote unquote free will, he did not give you the ability to go against his will. Okay, and this is a blasphemy that narcissistic people tend to believe. Okay, and it's absolutely not true. And this is why Charles Manson knows that he didn't break the law, because he has not been given the ability to do so.
Give me a word.
You are your faith. Lose it and you're not.
You are your faith. Lose it and you are not. Okay, some very wise words from a delusional, deranged, psychopathic serial killer, speaking truth. Okay, so this is the reason why you must cultivate a very personal relationship with whatever and whomever it is that you call God, whatever you draw upon as your source of power. I don't suggest, what name or what image you should give your God. I do, however, suggest that whatever it or whomever it is that you call God, that you do put your absolute and total faith in it, and more importantly, that you internalize it, okay, and realize that it is not separate from you, but it is very much with and in you. Okay.
We are done.
Is that right or wrong?
It's true.
Yeah. If they lost faith in what they did, that's on them. I didn't lose faith.
What relationship, if any, has your opposition with the homes, the churches, and the schools? Your reply to this question should be interesting.
Here is where I make use of some more of my clever tricks. I cause it to appear that everything done by the parents, the school teachers, and the religious instructors is being done by my opposition. This diverts attention from me, while I manipulate the minds of the young. When religious instructors try to teach children the virtues of my opposition, they generally do so by frightening them with my name,